I want to talk to you today about some tips on dealing with the LVG trim. Some different things to look for when you're cutting it, how to cut it, and then actually a new tool that we found for making some octagons and even some 90-degree corners. So I've got one here in my hands, just a rectangle vent that's been trimmed, and this is all one piece. The seam is actually right here in this corner here. And you can see, or maybe you can see, put that back together here. This piece is on top of this piece. So this seam is exposed vertically. And then this one over here is horizontal on this seam being exposed. So just to have a nice clean look when you're making this, it's best to have that uniform all the way around. So you can see here, now I've got 3 of the 4 corners correct. This one's vertical, vertical, vertical. This one is horizontal. So we pull that apart, push that one in there, and make that all the same all the way around. Dealing with individual pieces, we've got some guys that don't make it out of all one piece. They're making 4 individual pieces to trim one square. And a couple things to look out for. The first is when we slide a corner together here with 2 pieces, if I'm doing a straight cut and not a 45-degree cut, and I have this side piece, the front and back are inside of this top piece. And what can happen there is you get a gap that'll exist. There's a couple different things we can do to help squeeze that in tighter. The first is going to be just that. We're going to kind of get this trim that's going to be on top pinched tight. And the second thing we're going to do is the piece that is going to be inside of your main piece there, we're going to cut at a little bit of an angle. And what that's going to do is going to relieve a little bit of pressure from clear up inside of this angle here. So we'll slide this on. We'll go ahead and put this top piece on. There again, that's the front and the back. You can see there, everything's going to stay much tighter. Squeeze that together and then cut that piece at a little bit of an angle, and that corner will stay nice and tight for you. Dealing with 4 individual pieces on the top of a 40-foot ladder can get a little bit aggravating. Blue painter's tape. You can take a hunk of this for each piece that you have as you're building it, and just put it on the front, and then that way you can install the piece with the tape on it, put your screws in, and then you can pull the tape off, and that's going to hold that all together while you climb the ladder. You're not having to fight it when you're up there trying to install it. The next thing that we have, this tool here is pretty cool. So we've got an octagon here we've got to deal with. And getting all of these corners just right can be a little bit of a pain in the butt. And if you were cutting these all individually, cutting all those little pieces would be kind of aggravating. Tony has found these cool cutters. They sell them in 90 and 45, so you're just making one cut to make a corner. So you can see here, this piece is all one piece coming around. So if we take and we mark for the octagon here, where our first cut would be, we can take these cutters. I'm going to line that up. So if I bury this thing all the way in there, it's going to be pretty close to that outside edge. If I'm making it all one piece, I actually want to hold it away just a little bit. And we're going to take and we're going to notch that right there at that location. You can see there it's made the cut. We're going to open it up a little bit where it's pinched tight. That way we don't get a kind of a pinch there at that corner. Then we're going to start bending it around. And this will actually not have an overlap the way that's cut. Everything's just going to kind of be butt joints. So then you would, line that all back up. Go ahead and do the next cut here for you. So I'm looking at these corners here, lining that up. I'm going to take and mark this next one. I like a scribe when working with the material as opposed to like a marker, a pen, or a pencil. The scribe works well for both black and white, and you end up with a real small line. You know, if you're using a marker or something like that, you just get a little bit of a bigger line. I know in the black LVG, the silver marker can be nice, as long as you got some room to cut. That way you can cut that silver line off. So we'll take and kind of open this up here so we can slide our material in. We'll start at this edge, slide that in there, come around. You can see then I would just keep going with that. Hopefully that helps you with dealing with some of that trim. If you guys have any questions, feel free to get with us.